Hello and welcome to this episode of FinTech Focus TV, brought to you by Harrington Starr, global leaders in financial technology recruitment. Head over to the Harrington Starr website today, where you'll be able to download our brand new documentary, The Era of Convergence, which charts the merger of traditional and decentralized finance. You'll also be able to see our new magazine, The Financial Technologist, with the top 1% Workplace Awards. Enjoy the show and we'll see you soon. Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. Today it's a really exciting one for you. I am absolutely delighted to introduce you to Lorna Van Zyl from the A-Team Group. Lorna, how are you doing?
Great. Hi, Toby. Really pleased to be on the show today. Thanks for inviting me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And listen, I'm really excited about this conversation because it's about an event which I haven't been to for a while. And I've looked at the agenda. I've looked at some of the speakers. I know this from Legacy is a fantastic event. And I'm looking forward to getting into the detail of it. Before we do all of that, can you give us a little bit of an intro to yourself, A-Team Group, and then the TradingTech Summit itself?
Yeah, of course, I'd love to. So my name is Lorna Van Zyl and I'm head of event content at A-Team Group, and I oversee the conference production here. Just to give you some background on A-Team Group, we've been operating for over 20 years. And we produce content on financial technology for capital markets via reports, surveys, our industry blogs, as well as our in-person events and webinars focused on four main areas: data management, trading tech, reg tech, and ESG. My background is I've been working in financial markets for the last 7 or 8 years, most of those at A-Team, where I've been growing events for some of the more established brands, such as data management and trading tech, as well as working on some of our exciting new launches in the reg tech and ESG space.
All of those are really fascinating areas at the moment as well, aren't they? There's a lot going on. You're hitting. I think I spoke to Mark Beeston some time ago on the show, who talked about sort of 3 generational areas of opportunity at the moment in the marketplace. Cloud was one of them, and he talked about ESG being this sort of absolutely golden opportunity in the marketplace at the moment. And then you put regulatory technology that comes into it, and we're right in the eye of the storm here with everything that you're talking about, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we launched our ESG Insight publication. I think it was over a year ago now, and we did our first events last year, and yeah, we've had a great reception to those, and really excited to be doing more. We've also launched out in APAC as well. Last year we launched our RegTech events in APAC, and hopefully doing the same with ESG. So yeah, it's exciting, and one of the reasons I love working in financial technology.
And the awards have been growing as well, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of awards now. We do awards in all of those 4 main areas. We also do some innovation awards, which kind of cut across all of those areas as well, and in the different regions, so UK, US, and APAC. Yeah,
no, I've always been a big fan of the A-Team show, both of them, going back into the days of my youth. But the A-Team Group has been superb at really adding genuine insight and content out into the marketplace, and you've done a great job with all of that as well. So let's talk a little bit about February the 28th. We've got the TradingTech Summit coming up. Tell us a little bit about that particular show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the show actually began, the event was launched 12 years ago as the Low Latency Summit, when latency and speed really were the name of the game and what it was all about. But we sort of recast the event 6 years ago and renamed it the TradingTech Summit, really to reflect the fact that trading performance, it's not just about speed and latency anymore. Yes, of course, that is still critically important, but there are other factors at play that we wanted to explore at the event, such as market data and analytics, migration to the cloud, this sort of trading platform modernization and interoperability, and the challenges of adding on new tech with legacy, And more recently, with the digitization of markets, we're taking an interest in the institutional adoption of digital assets, which is an exciting new area. So yeah, I'd say that the event really digs deep into trading architecture and trading infrastructure issues to explore the latest developments and innovations for front office trading tech teams and how they're applying technology to really get an edge.
I think that's probably where you talk about the sort of influence of that agenda, and I mentioned that at the start of it. It's a really deep agenda. There's a lot of really good things that are going into it. You've mentioned there and highlighted a number of the key areas. You know, I've been a big broadcaster at that recently of the convergence of digital assets alongside the more traditional finance, the TradFi DeFi convergence that's been going on there, which you've got. There's a lot of really interesting people who are talking about a lot of things. Talk to us about how you influence and shape that agenda, because I know there's various committees that will come together, and I think I saw, if I'm not mistaken, a sort of boardroom of various different people who were courted for their insights. So it's something there, isn't it, where you guys aren't just sort of like picking things out the air willy-nilly and telling people what they want to hear. You've gone out to marketplace, and my understanding is you've taken out actually what do we want to hear, what are the key things here, and how can we share it and bring people together to do that sort of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with an industry advisory board of our trusted experts who are senior level practitioners from sell side and buy side in capital markets, who we bring together annually for a nice lunch and a roundtable discussion.
I saw that picture, and I was just doing my who's who of everyone who I knew around the table, and it's pretty much all of them. It was a good group you had together there.
Yeah, it's a great group, and when we get everybody together, it's a real meeting of minds. We get some really great insight, as to what the hot topics are and the sticky issues. It's just fantastic bringing those kinds of people together. And on their side, I think our advisory board really value the opportunity to talk about the issues with their peers and colleagues in a closed door setting. So there's value on both sides, but we work with advisory boards across all of our events, and I would say it's a critical source of information, and also it really helps to get engagement and support for our event. A lot of our advisory board either speak or moderate or put forward members of their team to speak or attend. So yeah, I'd say it's a crucial part of the agenda development. And another kind of key source of knowledge and insight is on the editorial side. Our editorial team here at A-Team, we have our TradingTech Insight blog, which is a great source of information, and we have over 6,000 global members that consume our content. And our blog covers all of the relevant issues and has a great focus of what's going on the vendor side as well. So we get both both sides with the practitioners and the vendors.
I think that's something which is very clear from that agenda is there's something for everyone within it, right? Sometimes I think it can go too far to various different areas. I think there's not always a lot of innovation in thought about what's being discussed, and I think the standout for me that was in here is lots of different things for lots of different people, but all around that same sort of aspect, which I think becomes then relevant for everyone who you're talking to within it. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting, and you can tell it's a people-driven thing. And coming back to your post, I think I've been subscribing to that for that blog for about 12 years myself, and I think there's always something quite interesting that comes through on it that keeps you piques your interest and gets you thinking and gets that content coming out of it, which I guess comes into what people can actually physically expect from the event itself. So talk to us about how it's shaping up and what people can expect to see here, feel, meet, who they can meet, etc., etc.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let me talk about some of the headline themes that came out of our advisory board meeting, that we're covering at the event. I think the hottest issue that generated a lot of discussion at our meeting was around balancing trading systems performance with security, risk and resilience, and in particular managing cybersecurity. With the kind of shift to digital and cloud, the cyber landscape is becoming more and more complex and constantly evolving, and it's placing a really big burden on large financial institutions who have to try and keep up with, you know, all the vulnerabilities across the trading systems and act really, really quickly to mitigate these threats. It's a huge challenge and something that we'll be exploring at the events. Probably one of the discussions that I'm really looking forward to hearing about. Definitely. And how our experts are sort of tackling it.
Something that, you know, in our day job as a recruitment business, we see a lot around that cyber thing. It's been one of our hottest desks now for the last 3 years, and I don't think everyone's as comfortable and confident as they should be when you think about this, you know, the severity of the implications on it. And I think to actually have it, because it's not a regular piece, however important it is, it's not a regularly featured thing at industry events. And I think I'm really encouraged to see that sort of come into the agenda, because I think it's so important. Yeah, to have on there. It's such a key element of what we do as an industry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the first time we've actually kind of given a dedicated session to cybersecurity. But you know, it was discussed so hotly and passionately at our meeting that we really felt we had to give it coverage. And yeah, we've got some great speakers. We've got Richard Croucher, who's from Barclays, and the CTO from Credit Agricole, CIB. So 2, you know, very senior practitioners coming to talk about how they're addressing cybersecurity, and you know, they know their stuff, and they're the best to come and hear from about this.
Fantastic. And what else can people expect on the day?
Yeah, so a couple of the other themes, you know, I mentioned trading platform modernization and interoperability. You know, this is a kind of ongoing thing for our trading firms that are having to upgrade these huge legacy stacks and systems. And it's really, really challenging to try and keep up with all the new tech that's out there. But there are some great new fintechs that we've been working with that can really help financial institutions modernize and upgrade. With some really, you know, innovative tech. So, you know, that's something that we'll be exploring. And I think connected to that is the buy versus build debate, which is very much still ongoing, particularly with the kind of recent mergers and acquisitions that we've seen in the vendor landscape, bringing together companies with sets of data and technology capabilities that's very interesting, but also adding quite a bit of complexity for financial institutions when it comes to making decisions around which technology to invest in, which companies to invest in, with all this kind of consolidation that's happening in the vendor landscape.
My sort of whole 20-year track record in this has been around the sort of vendor landscape, and so it's something which is, you know, close to my heart as you say that. And on this show, FinTech Focus TV, we've been talking a lot to people, and that sort of consolidation of the marketplace I think is really fascinating. And you know, some of it's gone really well, some of it I think less so. What I love at the moment is just the choice that people have to be able to tailor and put things bespoke to themselves, so that the old legacy enterprise of saying, right, you have to have this and there's nothing else, has given birth to a whole new breed of innovation, as you talked about beforehand. And, you know, I know there's a number of people who've been on this show who will be there as well at the same sort of time, talking about the same sort of things. But I'm fascinated about interoperability, especially trying to say it without stumbling over my words. I'm fascinated about how people can do this and actually individualize it to their own desks and their own needs. And I think beforehand saying, right, this is it, and you have to adapt your style to what we have. It's a much more collaborative way of going about business at the moment. I'm really excited about that. So I think that'll be a great topic to do. And talk to me about the sort of setup of the event itself. I know there'll be lots of different streams and you know, speakers, as you say. How does the networking element of it work? Who can we expect to see there? How's the day shape out?
Yeah, so we have our conference stream which runs, and it is a mix of sort of keynotes and panel discussions. and fireside chat, which are, you know, a mix of the kind of practitioners talking, and then our panels, which are a mix of practitioners and our sponsor speakers. So we have a nice balance of, you know, you get to hear both sides. And then running alongside the conference, we have our exhibition where we have our vendors with, you know, some really great products and services available, you know, to really help our audience, you know, meet their technology challenges and really, you know, understand what the solutions are that are out there. And, you know, networking, as you say, it's an absolutely key reason why people attend. And, you know, I think it's one of the reasons why, you know, I think we've had COVID, we've had working from home, but I think people really value specialist events like this, which, you know, bring together a very technical audience, and, you know, you can come and meet your peers and do that networking that, you know, is hard to do with work from home and, you know, limited office days, and you get to, you know, hear the great content as well. So I think that is kind of, you know, what makes our events special and important to attend for our trading tech audience.
Do you know what? I'm so pleased you said that, because I am and this goes back to, you know, straight after university, I worked in events myself for a couple of years, and I've always been a massive believer in it as an industry. And I think when I first started doing this podcast regularly, we've done it for a while on an ad hoc basis, but probably just at the start of the pandemic, we started doing a number of episodes, and it's been weekly pretty much, you know, ever since. And I remember going into it, and the big panic at that sort of stage was, it's so important as a place of where you can do business, you know, events. And we were talking about loads of them, and it all stopped in 2000. And I think one of the big things that immediately came in was, right, yeah, how are we going to do business? How are we going to sell? How are we going to meet our customers? This is so important to us. And there was panic around it. Then it sort of moved into the thing of saying, actually, you know, we can go to them there, and do we need them? And, you know, it's so much easier now. You can do things on Zoom and webinars, et cetera, et cetera. And it moved to that. And then very quickly afterwards, people recognized that they really craved that human interaction and the ability to go in there and meet people in the flesh and hear and do it. And I think it's actually come back even stronger. And the events I've been to post-pandemic have just had that sort of almost euphoric sort of element of people getting back together and seeing these opportunities and meeting in person. And it brings to life the opportunity to have these debates in person, as opposed to over a screen where people chip in and chip out and are muting at various different stages and such like. So I'm delighted it's back, and I'm a big proponent of people getting to them. You know, for me, I love networking. I love meeting new people. I love being around people. And I think from what you're saying there, the significance and the importance for people in the industry to get out of their own world and away from their desks every now and then, and see what the best in class are doing, see where the debates are going, see what they can pick up and learn and adapt into their industry. I think there's so many reasons for companies to be at these sort of events. What do you see around that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year we launched this event. Last, you know, end of Feb last year, when, you know, we were just coming out of COVID, and we weren't quite sure what to expect, but we were one of the first events out of the blocks. And it was, you know, it was a bit of a nail biter in the run up, I'm not going to lie, because we weren't quite sure what the turnout was going to be. But, you know, we actually had a fantastic turnout, and the buzz, there was just such a buzz, because I think people were just so,
everyone was ready, weren't they?
Absolutely delighted to come back and get together again. So yeah, you know, I'm anticipating another, I think we'll have another buzzy event. I think that's what this event is about. But the other thing that I also wanted to talk about, just kind of circling back to the agenda, is, you know, we've talked a lot about the tech, but and it kind of links into what we've been talking about, the networking. But, you know, this is all about the people as well, and the teams that really underpin all of the tech success. It's about the people. And you know, one of the kind of key things that is on our radar right now, and again, this came up in our advisory board meeting, was around the shortage of talent, skills and diversity that our industry is facing. You know, it's a really big problem. You know, we're hearing about these talent and skills shortages, which are really complicating the adoption of digital technologies, and, you know, presenting a problem for the future pipeline of talent coming into the industry. So this issue of talent, skills and diversity is something that we're very keen to address at our event, and we're looking to cover that because we see it as something that the industry needs to come together and look collaboratively at what we can do to try and come up with some practical solutions to try and address the problems there.
Do you know what? It's absolutely obviously music to my ears in that, having been in the the people and recruitment industry for the last last quarter of a century or so, and I think it's something which has traditionally just been sort of swept to one side, and the people aspect of a digital evolution sort of becomes secondary to everything. But actually, it's so critically important. And as we digital, I was speaking to someone yesterday who's got a £3 billion change and transformation project going on in a major financial institution, one of the biggest banks in the world, and so much of it focused around the people as it being a bank that goes into a digital. Everyone needs a bank, but no one needs to actually go into a bank anymore. And that sort of digital program of people catching up with that sort of thing is a huge part of it. And they've got a huge trading arm that goes on there too. And I think this skill shortage is something which people have suddenly got into their mind that with recession and inflation and cost of living crises, et cetera, that there'll be a slowdown in the hiring aspect. And it isn't going away, that problem of doing it. We're in a situation now where candidates are absolutely at the premium trying to find the talent that companies are looking for. And but there's a very demonstrable mindset of people trying to look for thinking it's going to become easier for them over the course of 2023. To find and that then breeds complacency about how they're interviewing, how they're going through this process. So I think putting people first and how we develop people, the diversity aspect, I think, is something there which is getting more and more airtime. I still don't think there's enough airtime in terms of how people look to it and how we actually bring the next wave of talent through into this industry to make sure that I think as a country, this is a soapbox moment for me, so apologies for hijacking the show a little bit. But I think as a country, we need to make the way forward for us with so many things that are right about the financial technology space and the trading technology space in this country, full stop. If we want to continue to get that advantage, we've got to make sure we're investing in that next sort of generation and making it much more, because we've got such a small percentage of people who are actually in the space and are attracted to the space. If we can get that right, then it's an absolute game changer for the industry. So really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we certainly, from what we're hearing, it's a huge threat to the future of our industry. It's a really, really big issue. And I'm particularly thrilled as well to have two female leaders in tech open our event. We've got Alison Hollingshead, who's COO of investment management at Jupiter. We have the head of trading from 91. So we've got two fantastic women coming to open the event, and they're both very passionate about what they do. And I think also just to add that at A-Team we really take diversity very seriously as well, and we make every effort to ensure we have the right balance of speakers across all of our events. And it's really not easy because this is an industry problem. But I'm always looking for female volunteers to come and speak at our events and take the platform and really showcase the great work they're doing to hopefully encourage and influence the kind of future pipeline of talent coming into the industry. So it's something that's very much on our radar in how we develop our events as well.
Lorna, there's a couple of introductions I have to make to you on that, so we'll take that offline later on. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and it's something we're very passionate about as a company as well. Talk to me a little bit about we spoke there about that sort of I guess conveyor belt of emotions about the event industry in 2020, and I think from what I've seen of events post-pandemic to pre-pandemic, you might disagree with me on this, but I think pre-pandemic it was starting to get a little bit stale, and people were starting to sort of get a little bit disgruntled about where the industry was going. The pandemic then suddenly said, what are we going to do without them? All of a sudden, then there was that little bit of saying, do we need to do it? Do we need to have to spend? Do we need to travel as much, etc., etc.? And then when it came back, it was, oh my God, we're in love with these again. And I want to make sure that the event industry, as I say, I'm really passionate about it, full stop. I want to make sure it continues to, to evolve and continues to have that same sort of buzz that I've felt over the last 18 months of being back in the, or 12 months even, of being back in the event space. Talk to me about how you think the market continues to change, continues to evolve, how you guys continue to keep raising the bar, because when I go back to 10 years ago when I went there, I know that next week's going to be a completely different evolution of what we saw beforehand, and I think it can go even better again. Tell us about the evolution of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why I love working in financial technology is there is always so much change and innovation going on, that I think it's one of the reasons people keep coming back to our event year after year, is because our events are really covering what's coming up. We are signposting the innovation trends that people in our industry need to keep up with, to make sure that you're staying relevant. Whether that change is driven by regulation or by technology, you need to know about it. And I think, having been in the space for over 12 years, we've seen how technology has shaped these markets. As I said, we started this event off with a focus on low latency. We then had the shift to electronic trading, and now we've got the adoption of cloud and digitization of markets. We're evolving our events as the marketplace continues to evolve. We've been there from the start with our events, and it's our job to keep the industry up to date with what's happening. We've got some really strong relationships within the industry, both on the vendor side and through our advisory boards. Also within the team itself, both Andrew and Angela, who started the A team, have been in the industry for 20 years or so, and we've got a really strong team. We know our stuff, and we know what makes great events, and we're able to sort of deliver on that.
Yeah, there's, as you say, there's a wealth of experience and there's some real creativity, and you can tell that with the A team, there's a genuine passion about it, right? And I think you guys have always hit the nail on the head with that. And look, an event is only as good as the people who attend, right? And I think, just looking at the lineup, looking at the speakers, looking at what you're talking about, looking at who's going to be there, it's massively exciting. So I can't wait for it. So it's the 28th of February. Tell us where it is. Give us a bit of the timings, and most importantly, who should be turning up, and how can they still have the opportunity to register right up until the day?
Yeah, great. So the event is literally coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So it's on February the 28th at Hilton London Canary Wharf Hotel. There is still time to register, although I really would recommend doing that sooner rather than later. We are starting to fill up. The event is free to attend if you are a practitioner from a financial institution. There is a charge if you are a vendor or a consultant. The best way to register is really from our event website. So if you go to TradingTech Summit London, you can register that way, or if you want to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, I'm very happy to help. But yeah, do go ahead and register. As I said, we are filling up fast. Also, just want to mention that we are running this event in New York. So we're running Trading Tech New York in June. So if you're in New York at the time, or if you're interested in speaking or sponsoring, again, we have some details up on our Trading Tech Summit New York site, or again, please do reach out to me on LinkedIn. But we're really looking forward to the event this year, and I hope to see, looking forward to meeting you there, Toby, and many others as well.
Can't wait for it. Really good fun. And so just on a thing there, if you were saying this is going to be the ideal event for this particular demographic, this particular bunch of people, who do you think this really stands out to? Anyone in trading technology, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that makes our event really unique is we're the only conference that really focuses on the trading architecture and trading infrastructure that sits on financial markets. So if you're in a front office trading technology role, then you really need to be at our event.
I agree with that. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great to be back there. Can't wait to get over to Canary Wharf. Roll on the 28th of February. Lorna, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Good luck with it all, and I know it's going to be an absolute smash hit. So look forward to seeing you there.
Great, thanks, Toby. Really enjoyed the show today.
Absolute pleasure, and thank you all for watching. Hopefully we'll see you there, and we'll definitely see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.